Hello, Professor.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Rena.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Uh, almost good.
Almost good. Almost good. Sounds good.
Because you gave us this terrible book.
Ay, 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 Irina. It's almost
Yes,
over.
yes.
And then it will be the hardest book you've ever read, and you will have done it, and you'll be like, thank God I did my best. I'm good.
And I saw you edit next paragraphs. Yes?
Well, you mean the next lessons for basically everything that I posted on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, I forget, is the final lessons for this book. So the last, whatever, 3 or 4 lessons.
Okay. Because I saw like next chapters and I was shocked. I remember you said us it will be our last chapter, only first chapter, and that's all.
Well, no, the other lessons. So I'm gonna. So well, we can talk about it when everyone's here. But sort of my suggestion is there'll be things that I want you to look at in chapter 2 and 3, but it's much more like look at this page or look at this paragraph. So I don't want you to feel like you need to spend 3 days reading chapter 2 and 3. Okay, but there are going to be 2 activities for chapter 2 and 3. They're mostly more vocab, so the same activity that you did for the beginning. So you can just choose 5 words. So you could find probably 5 vocab words on one page, Irina. And then today
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about the ideas, the main ideas from these chapters that I want you to think about. Because again, more than anything, this book is one to help you practice reading strategies. Today, we're going to talk about vocabulary building and reading strategies. And 2 is to introduce some of these themes and these ideas that you will see when we start to do the literacy narratives and we start A Map is Only One Country. So this is not a book that you need to, like I said, understand every single word. It's to push you and challenge you, help you practice reading strategies, and then move on. And then the ideas. And then we'll get to play with the ideas instead of feeling like you need to do a very detailed analysis of,
Because I understood a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. Chapter 2 and 3 is really interesting, but again, I think it's difficult for us at this level just because what she's doing in chapter 2 and 3 is she's really explaining, here's how I translate things. And she uses 2 examples. She uses a very famous book. And then in chapter 3, she talks about translating poems. So she goes into a lot more detail. And again, when everyone's here and I talk about reading strategies, something that you see a lot, whether it's in a 1-page paper, whether it's in a 5-page story, whether it's in a 10-page research paper, whether it's in a book, is a lot of the ideas in terms of the themes or main ideas, the arguments are at the beginning, right? Which is true in this book. The introduction in chapter 1 is where she sort of introduces these ideas, ideologies, and then chapter 2 and 3 later on in the book or the paper is where you get a lot more details. So again, the purpose here is not for you to feel like you understand every single idea and every single word. It is to help you practice reading strategies with a book that has ideas that you can use for the first paper.
Okay.
I'm glad it's hard for you though. It's good for you to feel I think my goal for you, Irina, knowing you is you're hard on yourself, I think, or like you think, oh, I did okay, but now you can see, right? Like you do, I, I don't know. This is, I think you know what I'm saying. I think you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
I know.
It's good.
Yes, and uh, quiz. Sorry, I'm tired. Quiz for chapter 1.
Yeah.
What we took. It wasn't easy, but I'm lucky because you gave some verbs.
Mm,
I found. Um, I tried to find some synonyms, and I saw, because I was confused about I don't remember, about lose,
mm,
abandon,
mm.
because I thought about it, but in one moment, because second part of this sentence was written loose, and I understood it's not correct to put this loose. It's my logic. And in one vocabulary, synonym vocabulary, I saw give up, and I tried to think about it, and okay, I tried this and put this, and I guess,
Okay, I love it. I love it.
but it's because abandon, it's not correct for this sentence, because for me abandon, when it means like I don't want to do something, or
Yeah,
I don't want to take somebody, or I don't know, or take care about somebody, or like in this case, but not about lose, like for forfeit.
forfeit. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, forfeit. And you again were great. So Irina is sort of preparing us for, because again, our reading strategy today is about vocabulary. So e- let me talk about this one week, because I have a whole activity for us for vocab, because I think again, for great students like so many of you guys in this class, when you're at 325 level, when you go to 300, when you go to 340, 350, it will help you to let go of, I need to learn this word, I need to learn it perfectly, I need to know how to use it correctly, because it's almost impossible at this level. That's why, again, why are we doing this book? She's saying meaning, you can't separate, you can't take meaning away from the sentence the word is used in, Irina, right? So how are you using the word? That affects everything too. In the sentence where she says forfeit, she's not, when you forfeit, that kind of means give up, right? Forfeit kind of means give up. So in sports, think about sports. If a team forfeits something, they will lose, right? But you don't have to give up anything or give anything away to lose. So the meanings are super similar. And forfeit, maybe you could use it in a sentence, oh, we forfeit the game. Okay, you gave up, you lost. But in that sentence, she's saying you give up something and then you get something else. So there's this kind of exchange, or this feeling of how things change. And you're absolutely correct, Irina, to think about abandon, because abandon also means leave something or someone
Mhm.
behind, right? And
Yes.
that's exactly correct, because when you forfeit, you don't leave something behind, but you do, it's more active, right? Like you don't have to do anything to lose, but you have to do something to abandon or to forfeit. Does that make sense? And how do you know that? You don't know that until you talk to me and read more sentences with the word. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't even get all of that from an online dictionary. So again, that's why it's a great question. And it's why today's reading
It,
strategies activity is all
it's
about
it's
vocabulary.
so deep meaning.
That's right. That's right. And again, it's why I love this book. Even though I know the level is high for you, I know that the ideas aren't high. The ideas make sense to you guys. You're doing great with the ideas. And the idea that translation is kind of special, interesting, magical, because it's not just the meaning of the definition, it's not just a definition in a dictionary. It's about feeling, culture, history, context, all that stuff.
Knowledge.
And that's what we're doing, right? We're not so and again, you know the way I teach, Irina, because you already took a class with me. I don't believe that what I don't, this is just about my philosophy about learning, especially in language. Now I think about Ruba teaching electrical engineering. There is a right and a wrong answer all the time. You have to know the correct answer. But with language, you know, it's not always like that. You kind of have to practice and learn and fail and make a mistake. And so I'm not the type of teacher who's like, fill in the blank, here's your 100%. Now you know English. No, it's messy. It takes time and practice and, you know, seeing it in all these different things. And that's why I like to give you a book that's a little too hard because, okay, that's fine. But did you read 5 pages, 10 pages of a book you never thought you could read? That's changing your brain. I promise that is changing your brain.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting texts from more students here, and then we'll get started today. So I see folks coming in. Mohammed,
It
good to see
has
you.
changed my
Olga,
brain.
yes, it will change your brain. Sapide, Liz, what's up? Ina, Claudia, Marina, Masuma. I was just wondering if you meant to correct the quiz. Later. I cannot answer grading questions now. So we've got a little class. I had 2 little classes yesterday too. I don't know what's going on. There's a little bit of blue sky and people are like, I need to go outside now. I can finally leave my house maybe. So, cool. Let's get started. Any questions before we jump in? I'll start to share my screen. We got a really tiny class, but I'm glad that you are here, the people who are here. Any questions before we start? Cool, let's go. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you all for being here.
Jeffrey, I have a question about this test too. I got on my last question only 0.5%.
I'll fix it. Yeah, I'll fix that for if I haven't fixed your 0.5 point, then I will do that. I will do that. I promise I will do that for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are not the only student with that question, so thank you.
Yeah, it was very funny that from 10 I made 3 mistakes and I get 6.5.
I don't know. Again, I'm still learning, you know, all of the many different settings in Canvas. So there's so many like options in the quiz questions. And that's just, I still couldn't figure out. I was too impatient to like watch a video or read an article about how to have multiple correct answers with full credit in a Canvas quiz, but who cares? Even that was boring to me to say that out loud. So you guys don't need to hear about Canvas settings because who cares? But I will fix it is the short answer. I will
I
fix
thought
it.
about that offer you go to math class.
Which offers go to math class? Oh yeah, thank you. I know, I need it. I know, thank you, Susanna. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. Just like usual, I want to do a small group check-in so that you can talk to each other a little bit. It's not just you alone in your house taking this class. I promise there are other human beings here with us. Then again, we're talking about reading strategies. You probably heard me talking to Irina a little bit, right? This book, this difficult, short, but difficult book is really a chance to practice reading strategies and to introduce some of the ideas you will play with in the first major writing assignment. So after our section on reading strategies, then I'm just going to very quickly talk about some of the main ideas from chapter 2 and 3 in the book. And then we're going to have, if we have time, we'll do a quick activity about paraphrasing. And we'll if you're looking at that word going, what is that? Then I'm glad you're here. We'll definitely talk about it today. But first, super chill. I just want to do small group check-in. So I've got 2 suggested questions for you. Whatever you end up talking about with your small group is great. But here's my suggestion. What's one interesting TV show or online video that you watched last week? Something interesting that you watched? And 2, what's a goal you have for your schoolwork or classes this week? That could be for this class or any other class, but just something that you've been thinking about, like, oh crap, I need to do this thing or that thing or whatever. I need to read this page or whatever. So first, a video you watched that was interesting. My short version is I watched a video about black holes and string theory for like deep physics. Super cool. I don't understand all of it, but it changed my brain because it was really And number two, what's a goal you have for your schoolwork or classes this week? Makes sense. Any questions before I put you in your groups?
Nope.
All right, talk to each other, spend a few minutes. Remember, we're all human beings in this class together. I'll be here if you have any questions or need anything, but take your time and just enjoy. So you'll get your invitation to join now, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Vlada, we're in small groups. Do you want to just turn off your video and do you want to go in a small group and listen to what other people are saying, or what would be best? Oh, you're still connecting to audio. It's all good. Oh, good. Okay, video's off. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, go ahead, keep your video off. That's totally fine. Oh, you're on audio. Can you hear me? Oh, I can kind of hear you. Perfect. We're in small groups. If you want, you can just turn off your video, or I don't know if you're driving. You can just turn off your video and then you can listen to everything when everybody comes back, okay?
Okay, I'm going to home and I will take my computer. So.
Yeah, no, I know this is just our new life, Letta. You are not the first student who's been driving while they're in class. So just turn off your video. People will come back, but it'll be quiet for a few minutes while people are in the small groups, okay? I know, sir. Nasser, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, we are in small groups, just doing a quick check-in, a warm-up. Can I send you to just go check in and say hi to some of your other classmates? Is that okay?
Okay.
And they'll tell you what we're talking about. Again, it's just sort of a introduction, a warm-up before we get started. So
Oh, yes.
I'm going to send you to room 3.
Hmm.
I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Professor, I just have a question.
Sure.
I know that I have the low score now, but I'm just waiting for a book. I order it, and I thought that I ordered like 1 month ago, but it didn't come to me. So I reorder it, and I will like do everything when it comes.
No problem. And you're not the only student, Lada. So actually, and that's why for the translation book, I scanned the entire book. It's all on Canvas. So I don't know if you can you see our Canvas site on your screen right now, or is it safe for you to look? So on the home page, I just added this last weekend. If you click Professor Jeff's course materials, Everything for this Why
Uh-huh.
Translation Matters book is here. It says Why Translation Matters. Here's the PDFs, and then here's the audio of me reading each chapter as well. So you can,
Got you. Okay.
so
Okay.
you can at least look at the PDFs there. So because I know, yeah, like it's been very, very slow. So I don't know what's going on with the bookstore, but
Okay. Thank you so much. I didn't know about it.
of course,
Okay.
and some of
Thank you.
those, of course, and some of those PDFs are in the lesson when it says, oh, there's a vocabulary activity or whatever. I'll say, okay, read chapter whatever, and then the link will be to the PDF. So you can find them in Canvas in different places, but on that homepage, course materials, everything, all the materials will be there.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Of course.
So see ya.
Drive
Okay.
safe.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Hello.
I love it when no one comes back to the main room or has questions. I'm like, that's good. You guys needed to talk to each other. That's great. Did anybody, I hear a little echo. Okay, good.
Yes.
Anything come up? You don't have to share anything, but any questions about the class or Canvas or any of the boring stuff that
I
came
have
up?
one word.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, let me start to share my screen again. Go ahead, Ruba, please.
The word ideology, is it just like philosophy?
Okay.
That's a good question. I was thinking there too long. Let's go. I mean, right now the first thing that I'm going to talk about today is sort of reading strategies for vocabulary. So my first suggestion is always to go to the dictionary. So let's see. Philosophy says, let's go to B here because this one says the study of ideas. So this is imagining it like, a philosophy department in a university. This one is saying a particular set of ideas about knowledge, truth, the nature and meaning of life, etc. A set of ideas about how to do something. Okay, so this is very interesting already, ideas and ideas, because when I think of ideology, I do think of belief. Now, is a belief different than an idea? Okay, that's an interesting question too. A set of ideas and beliefs of a group or political party. Interesting. I think the real issue is, so there's two things. They are very similar in meaning, but ideology usually has to do with not just beliefs, but of course, when you think about beliefs about things like language, you're talking about power, right? Like who has power and who doesn't have power. What language is powerful and what language is powerful. So ideology you could use for more if you're talking about beliefs connected to big systems of power. And a philosophy is, especially a personal philosophy, is kind of like your personal thoughts, your personal feelings, your personal beliefs. So very similar, but that would kind of be the difference, I say, Ruba. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? Great. Thank you for the vocab question.
Can I
Great.
say?
Please.
For example, ideology of communism, it was powerful. The whole nation was
Correct.
under this power.
Correct. Absolutely. So absolutely, Susanna. So, and could I say, okay, Jeff's personal ideology is maybe, okay, I'm a teacher, I have more power than you in the class. Okay, that could be, you could say that. Do I have a teaching philosophy? Okay, you know what I mean? So you could definitely kind of say that. But I think Susanna's example is also right, because if you're thinking about, oh, should I describe a country or like think about an empire in history, you would definitely talk, I think you'd probably talk about their political ideology, their government ideology, because once things get that big and that powerful, like Susanna was saying, that's connected to. So yeah, good point, Susanna, really good point. I see people writing down sentences, good. We're gonna do lots of sentences. Anything else before I go? Let's go. So great questions, and I'm glad that the questions were about vocabulary because that's what we are doing today. So we are going to talk again about reading strategies. So before I just start talking for a few minutes nonstop, did anybody try the setting a timer on your phone even for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Did anybody try it and want to talk about it? Liz, you're saying yes. Can you tell us what it was?
Actually, set up the timer for 30 minutes.
Ooh, okay.
So I just set up the 30 minutes because my issue is that every time when I start doing my assignments, someone can text me. So
Yeah.
I reply.
Yeah.
Then someone knocks on my door.
Yeah.
I get up. So I just set up my timer and said, this is my 30 minutes. No one is allowed to touch me.
Nice.
So even though I just looking like staring at my phone, I see like messages coming in. I'm like, nope, that's my 30 minutes. Wait, no one will die.
No one will die. How'd it go? How did it go?
Way more productive, I would say.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're getting ready for, Liz is getting us ready for hyper focus. That's all about attention and distraction, and we'll get to think a lot about that later on. Okay, great, thank you. I'm glad you tried it. 30 minutes is a long time with this book too. Anybody else try it or have an experience with it? I'm glad one person did. Try it. I highly recommend it. It's good. It works. Do you feel like it affected or changed how you were reading, Liz?
Yeah, maybe honestly, the first 10 minutes, that was hard. Because every time I was thinking, oh, stay Liz here. You gotta do it. And after it's like, okay, this is kind of self-disciplination that I gotta do. Otherwise, this is just the only way how I can be more concentrated on what I'm doing.
Love it. I love it. Everybody listen to Liz. Do it. Even for 10 minutes. I'm telling you, it is amazing. You see your brain after 30 seconds, the thought's like, oh, I got to do something else. I want to put this book down. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So cool.
If I read, I can read 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Irina's just,
it's so difficult because sometimes I take my phone and look how many time.
How much? Yeah.
Yes, how much time? Yes.
How many hours? Yeah.
Yeah. How many hours?
You know I'm like that. You know I'm like that too, Irina. I can read for like 3 or 4 hours at a night. But I know not everybody's like that. We're weird, Irina. We're weird. So don't set a 3-hour timer. Set 30 minutes. I think even Liz, 30 minutes is a lot. Try it. Try 10 minutes. Try 15 minutes. You will learn about your brain. It's very interesting. Great. Okay, so that was last week. We talked about one example of a reading strategy. Now here's another one, which is about vocabulary. So again, I'm going to ask before I start talking, how do you learn new words? And this is just your experience. This is not how to do it the right way, the best way. How do you do it? I just want to hear from a few people.
I just write words on sticky notes, stick them above my bed. And every time when I wake up, like, what's the word? And I just can use it in my daily life. I'm trying to like create a sentence with that word, keep repeating, and that way I remember it fast.
So good. So Liz was saying she'll write a word down on a piece of paper, maybe put it up on her wall. She'll try and write it. She'll try and use it. She'll think about it. I love it. Mohammed, I saw your hand.
Yeah, for me that works when I write that word and then repeat it for more than 3 times. Like, then that will never will be forgotten. That will be
Wow, that never forgotten, Mohammed. Ambitious. Yes. I love it. Great. Never forgotten. That's great. Yes. Anybody else? 1 or 2 people? I love it. So yeah, Mohammed said, write it down, right? And use it multiple times, right? Good.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I try to write sentences.
Saying, write it.
How to write in sentences? Yes, because for me, it's not like learning new words, but I have to understand this meaning, this usage in context or somewhere, I don't know. And I try to find a lot of explanations, examples with this word, and it's my case.
Oh, good. Irina said a lot of great things there, but also using it in a sentence, using it in your own sentence. Absolutely. Nasser, yeah, I saw your hand. Please, Nasser.
Yes, I have an experience about learn new words.
Yeah, please.
I had a test for naturalized citizenship.
Okay.
2 months ago, and I had 100 questions about Constitution, American, and I watch every day 2 times.
Yeah.
Is 100 question.
Oof.
And I learn all are a new word, many new words about the Constitution of the United States.
Wow.
It is a very, very interesting experience for me, for learning new words.
Great. So you watched, was it a video, did you say?
Yes, 2 times every day.
Oh, every day.
Every day, about, I think, 20 days.
Wow. Good.
Yeah.
And did you take the test already?
Yes, and I can pass.
Hey, congratulations. Mohammed is clapping. Yeah, we can't, this is sign language, right? Because deaf people can't hear. So this is a clapping in sign language.
Yes.
So this is applause, applause, applause.
Yeah.
That's great.
And yes, I had a celebration for citizen 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, yes.
Wow, 2 weeks, so brand new. Wow,
yes,
really? For real.
I can vote it.
Felicidades. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. Much more important than vocabulary, but I also love Nasser's idea there, which is, I think I might be like Nasser. I am, as you can probably tell, that I like to read out loud, and while I make the recordings, I'm a big listener. So I love to listen to things over and over, or say things out loud over and over. But this is going to be different for everybody, right? So my suggestion so I love these ideas, right? So we heard, write the word down, put it on your wall, look at it, think about it. We heard sort of say it over and over to yourself a lot. That was Mohammed. Irina saying use it in a sentence. Nasser was saying I watched a video. I heard other people using the word. And the video is a good example because, like Irina's example, that's, if you're watching a video, you're definitely seeing the word in context, right? In some specific context for some specific purpose. So all of these are great. And here's my things I want to add, right? So if you've never tried any of those things for vocab, try some of them, right? If you're listening, and then try this. This is my suggestion. So first, of course, how do we learn new words? You read it or you hear it, right? Or if you're Nasser, you're studying for a quiz, you're like, oh man, I need to learn these words. These words are the ones I need to know. And well, but I think at this level, at 325, a lot of us, you find new words because you have to read something for class, or you're watching a video, or you're out in Sacramento and you hear someone say some word, right? So you read or you hear a new word. Then again, things you're already doing very likely is usually we can try to figure out the meaning from the context. So look at the other words in the sentence. Look at the sentences that are around that word. Can you figure out or can you guess even, can you make a prediction what the meaning of that word is based on the context? Now, this isn't always the case, right? In Why Translation Matters, there's a lot of different vocab words, so it's difficult if there's a lot of new words at one time, but context is really important. Now, if you can't figure it out from context, what do you do, right? What I'm saying here is you learn about that word, and I'm saying you can go to the dictionary, thesaurus, translator, etymology, which I'll show you. And then some people like flashcards for vocabulary. Liz is kind of sticky notes. It's kind of like a version of that to me. It's kind of like the word on one side, and then maybe you think about it or the definition or whatever. When I post this PowerPoint in Canvas, all of these are links inside of the PowerPoint. So these will take you to the places that I like to use the most, but we're going to use them right now. And while I do this, let me get the chat opened up. Right now in the chat, I'm going to post these links as well, because we're going to use them for an activity here. So let me post this to you guys. Ooh, I was being so smooth, and then I don't know where the chat went. Give me 1 second. There it is. Okay, so the first one is the dictionary that I really like to use. Second one is for the thesaurus. And the third one is for the etymology dictionary. My favorite, if you're a language person, the online etymology dictionary is really interesting. So we're going to do this. We're going to use this in a second. So after you learn about the word, you look it up, you go to the thesaurus, the translator. That's when everybody said, I think the most important thing to do is try using it in your own speaking or writing and see how it goes. It's why the way I do vocabulary in this class is never, well, not never, but very rarely, you know, fill in the blank. We did that in our reading class, Irina, because that's on the syllabus. We have to do these vocab quizzes. But I don't think that's how we learn vocab at 325. We don't be like, choose a multiple choice test, you know. How we really tend to remember language is when we make meaning, when it's important to us, when we make meaning. And we know the research is very clear. If you're making your own sentence, it always means more than some fill in the blank on a quiz. So that's why I loved hearing everybody say, I use it, I write my own sentence, I try to practice saying it. That is what really makes it stick in your brain. So then I'm saying, then you use it. So try using it when you're speaking or writing, then use it again and again and again and again and again. And kind of like Ruba and Irina have already done today, they were like, can I use this word? What's the difference between these two words? Talk to a native speaker, you know, because there's sometimes more information about a word. Well, almost always, you know, a definition doesn't tell you how a word gets used, right? Or what context it gets used in, social contexts in California in 2020. You know, so language in use is always different than language in a book, in a dictionary that never changes. So just for example, excuse me, from the first vocabulary activity that we did for the introduction and for chapter 1, these are student examples. These are some of the words people chose and then wrote sentences about. So someone chose exemplary and wrote, her behavior towards her parents was exemplary. Every time I read a story, I have an insatiable appetite to read it all. I will endeavor to do everything to give my children the opportunity to have a good future. Hone, I am taking that class to hone my reading and writing skills. And sophistication, every culture has different sophistications, and this makes the world more beautiful. Now, if these are your sentences, okay, you already know what the meaning is, but let's just look at this together. Remember, step 1 here says, read it, hear about it. Okay, try to figure out the meaning from context. If you just look at these sentences, your own sentences, right, student sentences, what's the meaning for exemplary before we even look it up in the dictionary? What's your feeling for it? Can you use context? What do you see? What do you notice? Ooh, maybe we don't know. That's fine. Does anybody know the definition for this one?
I don't know.
That's okay. And you know what then? If these words are still new to us, these were your guys' sentences. So I love that even looking at them, you're like, even if it's not just in the book, right? These are still new vocab words for us. So that instead of looking at our own sentences, let's go ahead and I want to show you how to do this, right? So what I want to do is choose 5 words here, okay? And I want to do these activities that I'm talking about on the earlier slides, which is you will, in chapter 2 and 3, these are words from chapter 2 and 3. Utopian, it's an adjective. Fidelity, it's a noun. Literalism is a noun. This comes from, literal can be an adjective, right? Regulated is an adjective. It can also be a verb, to regulate. And contemporary is an adjective. So we're going to see these in context. I'm going to show them to you in a second. But let's imagine right now you just want to get more information about these words. And I'm sort of going to show you how to go through this vocabulary as a reading strategy. So the first thing I would suggest is go to the dictionary, right? Now you can translate it if you want. That's fine. I'll let you do that, right? That's totally fine. But I'd say go to the dictionary. We get the dictionary definition here says utopia, an imaginary place in which the government, laws, and social conditions are perfect, okay? Here's an example sentence. The town's founders wanted to create a Christian utopia, okay? It's a nice place to live, but it's no utopia, okay? Then we see our word utopian. It's an adjective, a utopian community, a utopian vision. And again, we go back here, imaginary place, government laws, social conditions are perfect. Okay, okay. So then we can go to the thesaurus, right? If you've never used a thesaurus, highly recommend it, because even if this word utopia is new to you, you will probably get a word here with a synonym that you maybe already know or have used before. So the word that shows up here is bliss or paradise. And then we get a lot of other examples of places of utopia from the past, right? Eden, Shangri-La, whatever. Dreamland, dream world, heaven, perfection. Okay, so now hopefully we're seeing some words we know, we're getting a feeling for this word. If you really want to go deep, you can go to the online etymology dictionary. This link that I sent you is, etymology just means the history of a word, basically, where it came from, and not just what it means, but how it started or how it came to mean what it means, right? So here's the example for utopia. Utopia says 1551. So the way we use utopia in English has stayed the same basically since 1551. And it says it comes from modern Latin, which means nowhere. Coined by means created by, made by Thomas More, from Greek, and then it talks about the Greek words, about an imaginary island enjoying the utmost perfection in legal, social, and political systems. See, this utmost perfection has the same meaning back here, right? Government laws and social conditions are perfect. Okay. Utmost perfection, legal, social, political. Okay. And again, you can go really deep, right? Like this online dictionary, if you're really interested in the history of the word or where it comes from, or if you speak a language, I know for any of our students who speak Romanian, Romanian has connections to Latin. So some of the words in English, you can go back all the way back, right? You can go back to the real deep history of the word. But okay, so we've got our definition here, how we would use it in 2020. We've got synonyms for the word. We even looked at the history of the word, where it came from and how it came to mean these things. So now if we look at my reading strategies list, the next thing is try to use it. So somebody give me a sentence. Let's try to use this. How would you use utopia or utopian in a sentence? If you would rather, you can just type it in the chat if you're feeling shy, but I want at least one example sentence to look at together.
Should we use it as an adjective or we could turn it into noun?
Either one is fine with me.
Can you say she is living in a utopian area?
Let's see. I would want, for me, I would want more context and information, but the meaning is clear. If you wrote this sentence, Ruba, I would say, okay, Ruba is saying that the person lives in a beautiful, perfect, ideal, amazing, you know.
Because one of the meaning is paradise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paradise is just like heaven and something beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely, she's living in a utopian era. You're absolutely correct, Ruba, that you could say we can use this word in a sort of like literary, poetic way, right? To say if you're describing a place that you really love. So whatever, for me, this isn't really true for me per se, but like you could say, right, this place, some place that you love, some beautiful, amazing place, you can say, for me, in my opinion, it's my utopia. It's my personal, perfect place, right? Good. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who else? Anybody else got an example?
I don't know, maybe she lives in her own utopia.
Ooh, I love it.
Where is good, where good wins, evil, I don't know how.
Own utopia where good always defeats. I think I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Evil, yes.
Good.
Triumphs, evil.
Yeah, and then if you say good always, and then if you're going to say triumphs, you need a preposition.
Triumphs, over. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it.
I repeat, please, spelling triumphs.
Yeah, triumph. Yeah. MF is not a combination you get a lot, but you have and then you get an S. Weird. Not a common consonant cluster. That's definitely an interesting consonant cluster. Yeah, triumphs. I love this idea because she lives in her own utopia. Kind of makes it sound like this is her dream world. This is her fantasy land. It's not in reality, but in her own mind, right? I love that. That's interesting. Anybody else got one?
Can I say I had an utopian life before somebody steal my purses or something?
Before someone stole what, Gloria?
My money.
A sad sentence, but the meaning is perfect. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Good. Okay, I love it. Love it. Okay, so I think I want to keep doing this activity, but to me it feels like it's hard to know, but hold on. It's not personal. I'm muting you. It feels we feel a little low energy today. It might be better to put you back. So here's what I want to do, and then I'll ask your opinion. I want you to do the same thing we just did, utopian. I want you to do it for fidelity, literalism, regulated contemporary. I want you to go to the dictionary, the thesaurus, and if you want to look at the etymology dictionary, and then I want you to come up with at least one sentence for these words. My question is, do you want to do that together in a small group? Like I can put you back in the breakout rooms and you could do it in a group, or do you just want to do it by yourself right now, take 10 minutes or so, and then you can do it by yourself? Anybody with strong feelings or opinions?
By myself.
That was awesome. Claudio says by myself and Gloria together. Anything else? Let's do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to compromise. I'm going to put you in your breakout groups, okay? But if when you go to your group, you don't want to talk, just turn your video off and do it on your own, but tell your group that's what you're doing, okay? So I'll give you 10 minutes. People who want to work together, work together. People who want to just do it by yourself, do it by yourself. So I'll put you in the groups, 10 minutes. I want 4 sentences. Make sure you write down the words because I can't share them with you. That's fidelity, literalism, regulated, contemporary. And make sure you have the links that I sent in the chat. Does everybody have the links in the chat?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so let me open up the breakout rooms. Be ready to share at least one sentence. We seem tired today. Okay, I'm going to send you back to your rooms. Does everybody have, or I'm going to open the rooms. If you still need to stay to write down the word stay, if you're ready to go, go. So here come the rooms. Oh, Gloria, I need to send you to a room. Let's see, which room should you go to? I'll send you in with Ruba and Susanna. Vlada, you want to go to a room right now or you want to hang out?
No, I wanna be in group.
Okay, good. Okay, perfect. I'll send you there right now. I'm going to send you into the room with Olga, Masuma, Ina, Claudia. I'm going to send you to room 1.
Okay.
All right, we're almost all back. Just a few seconds. Great. All right. So hopefully you got to talk or the silence that you needed. I just want to hear some examples because again, we're at the sort of end of this strategy I'm suggesting to you. So after, especially for you guys at this level, I do think it's helpful to say it, write it, and then, you know, say it to a native speaker and see like, is that right? Is that how you would use that? Did that feel right in the sentence? So let's look at fidelity. Same thing, if you want to just say yours, you can unmute yourself and share your sentence, or you can put it in the chat and then I can copy and paste it into the PowerPoint, whatever you want. So can we hear a couple of the example sentences? Yes,
Yes.
Gloria, do I see a hand? Okay, I'll do Gloria and then I see you too, Ina. So we'll do Gloria and then Ina and then anybody else. So Gloria, go ahead.
I appreciate a sense of fidelity in people.
Great. Ina, go ahead.
Distance, those things.
Fidelity is a very important trait for a good relationship.
Nice. Love it. I want to talk about that in a moment. That's great. Anybody else? Yep, Liz.
I can't stand his fidelity against his enemies. It's a weird question, but
No, I think I know what you're getting at. We'll talk about them after I get a few more. Nasser, I see your hand. And then Mohammed. Yeah, Nasser and then Mohammed. Oh, Nasser, we can't hear you.
Dogs are fundamentally animals.
Good. Okay, good. The meaning is perfect. We'll talk about the part of speech we need to fix, but the meaning is perfect. I love bringing up dogs and fidelity. That's great, Nasser. Mohammed, yes.
Yeah, fidelity is the base for having a strong relationship in a family.
Masuma, I see your hand. Go ahead if you want to share. Yes.
Yeah. Fidelity is one of the good habits of human beings.
Love it. Really nice. Great. Love it. These are great, you guys. These are great. These are really, really wonderful sentences. So
I have a funny one.
Sure, please, Claudio.
My fiance questioned my fidelity after she saw my text message from my friend on my phone.
Love it. Absolutely.
That's not true. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being clear, Claudio. It's not true. This is an imaginary sentence. Really great. Okay, so I want to talk about this because this is a great word because I think when you look up the meaning, hopefully you saw the meaning is clear. I think a lot of these sentences show that the meaning is clear. But again, culture and context matter here because like fidelity is a very important trait for a good relationship. Or my fiance questioned my fidelity. Often, very often in the United States in 2020, when we do think about fidelity in relationships, we are talking about like cheating. Is a person cheating on another person? So again, that's not going to be in the dictionary definition, right? That's kind of like a cultural context. But again, if you're talking about two people, if you say like fidelity in my relationship, you're talking about like commitment to each other and not cheating. So I love that we got some sentences like that. But then we also have Nasser's great sentence about dogs are fidelity animals. Now, fidelity is a noun, not an adjective. So the part of speech is wrong here. How would I say this? Or does anyone have any ideas how to fix this part of speech? Instead of dogs are fidelity animals. Maybe.
Maybe fidelity, dog fidelity is very valuable for human.
I love it. The dog's fidelity. I love that. That's a good idea too. I love that, Irina. The dog's fidelity is a very important, very valuable to humans. I changed it to, a lot of you guys put fidelity as the subject, the subject noun of the sentence, which is great. Fidelity is one of the best traits, one of my favorite things about dogs. That way we get that great meaning that Nasser was getting at, but we fixed the part of speech. So love it. Okay, great. How about literalism? Literalism is a little weirder. Okay, Irina, you raise your hand. Let's go for it. And I see you too, Ruba. Please, yeah, what do we got?
Sorry for my pronunciation. Literalism is very important for artists who want to accurately convey the reality through the picture.
Okay, I love it. Good. Yeah, if your goal is to present reality, like real reality, then absolutely the connection between literalism and this sentence is, the meaning is perfect, Irina. Great. Who else? Ruba, did I see your hand? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, but we can't hear you. You're on mute. We can't hear you. I always feel like I scare you guys when I say people are on mute. People are like, oh.
No, because I'm mute. Okay. The term literalism can be used differently by authors.
Tell me more. What do you mean, or what are you trying to get at with this sentence?
Nothing, just the term literalism, it means something more by authors.
Okay, good. Anybody else have a sentence? Liz, you got one? You're muted too. And I see Liz talking, but I can't hear her. And then I see Nasser and Masuma, and then we'll continue. Liz, can you?
Yeah, science.
During translation for translators.
Oh my God! Hold on. I hear like, hold on. I hear like 5 people talking. Okay, I saw Mohammed. Okay, let's do this. Masuma, Liz, Nasser, Mohammed. Masuma, Liz, Nasser, Mohammed. Okay, Masuma, go ahead.
Okay, literal. I make a sentence as adjective. Literal. Signs can be either literal or numerical.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. Okay, Liz, what you got?
I want to say that many translators are using literalism just to be on a safe side.
Good. We're going to look at the quote that we're going to analyze on the next slide is all about literalism and translation. So you are predicting the future like usual, Liz. Excellent. Who did I say next? Nasser? And then Mohammed? Yes. Okay, Nasser, please.
Yes. My phone, literalism on Google Translator, Farsi.
My phone.
My phone.
My phone. But you don't have a verb in that sentence.
Has.
Oh, has? My phone
Yes.
has. And then what?
Literalism, noun, is a noun.
It is.
Yes. Literalism on Google Translator Farsi.
My phone has literalism for Google. I'm trying to, the grammar is kind of up there. I'm trying to think how I'm translating now in my own head. My phone has, I think even this. Something like that. I think that's the meaning you're saying, right? Like my phone is gives me literal translation. I want to give us more room here. Yeah, good. Okay, thank you for your patience there. And Mohammed, last sentence for this word.
Yeah, literalism is common during translation by translators.
Good, you and Liz are on it. Is common during translation by translators or by, whatever. Love it. Good. Literalism is important for artists. I love it. So again, all of your sentences, the meaning is super clear here, you guys. The meaning for all of these sentences. Of course, I'm helping with the grammar a little bit, but again, remember, when we're talking about reading strategies for vocabulary, meaning is more important than grammar. We can work on the grammar of the sentences later on. Great. How about, yeah, we can do these. I might go through these a little faster because I want to make sure we have time to talk about paraphrasing, but how about regulated or contemporary? And especially if there's anybody who hasn't shared and wants to share. I love to hear from the same people, but anybody who has one that wants to share.
I have one.
Ruba and then Sapita. Yes, great.
For regulated, the voltage need to be regulated.
I knew it. Thank you to our amazing engineer and professor. I love it, Ruba. Thank you. Yes, Sapita, please.
Okay, I make a sentence. I'm not sure is it right or not.
That's what we're doing. Let's do it.
Okay. She regulated her classes very well.
But what do you guys think? She regulated her classes very well. What do you think?
No.
Ruba says no. Ruba says no. I think
controlled.
Control is good. Yeah, good. What are synonyms for regulated? What do you guys find when you look this word up? What's the meaning?
Yeah, control.
Organize, control.
Like control, manage.
Good. Control, manage is good. And I think that's why, and I think I'd say this. If you just did this small change, Sapita, because, or you could say her class schedule, then class is modifying, or even just this.
Okay.
Like this. And this is why, again, this is like I was saying to Irina, the meaning is great. I know what you meant, right? You meant control, but there's this weird feeling about language, right? Language gives us this feeling. We don't control classes, but we do control our schedule. I don't know why, right? I'm not saying that makes sense. I'm just saying like, it's about how we actually use the words in sentences. That's like Irina was saying and Mohammed was saying about over and over again. So, some verbs like certain objects and they don't like other objects, in this case, regulate doesn't like classes, but it does like schedule. And that's just because of how we, and that's why, use, oh, I'm sorry.
Organized.
Organized is good there too, but I just want to say it's why the etymology dictionary is helpful and fun. It's because when you see, oh, wow, we've been using this word this way for 300 or 400 years. It's not like there's one rule. Okay, you never say you regulate classes. That's not a rule. It's just how we have been using the language over time, right? So, so again, Sapita got the meaning great, and that's why it's important to practice putting it in sentences and talking to a native speaker and being, Jeff, does this sound right? Like, should I use a different verb? Can I use a different noun? Anyway, yes, Mohammed, I see your hand.
For this word, I mean, for regulated, I made a sentence. The law is regulated first by the government.
Good. This is a very academic sentence, Mom, but I love it. It's very, very, very college level. I love it. A complex idea. Yeah, Gloria, what you got?
I should regulate this conflict immediately.
Ooh, wow. Regulate this conflict immediately. More very, serious sounding sentences. I love it. Anybody else? One or two more? Irina, go ahead.
Each government dreams of regulated people in their countries.
Good. Yeah. And this is again just to show you how word forms. I mean, you could do the present participle, you could do the ing here, you could do the adjective here. So again, parts of speech, again, why it's important to practice using vocab in sentences, right? It's the connection between meaning, grammar, collocation, sort of what words usually go together. It's tricky. It's tricky when we're trying new vocab words.
And me?
Sure, please.
I should regulate.
Our class is contemporary online, but I hope soon it will be regulated.
Ooh, you did two vocab words. Our contemporary
classes is online. Online, but I hope it will be regulated soon.
Oh, interesting. I love it. Interesting. Susanna's using regulated kind of like fixed or returned, and that's kind of close. I think contemporary classes is great in that sentence. I hope it will be regulated soon. You know, but did you guys did see the email, right? Spring from yesterday that everything in spring is online?
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to bum us out, but Susanna's question made me think about that. And anyway, yes. So I hope that I learn how to regulate online teaching, because that's what we will be doing for the next year, basically. Anyway, good. Anybody have some? So just for time, you practice doing this for the lessons in Canvas, right? We're going to do more vocab, but I do, like I said, I want to talk about paraphrasing before we finish today. So if you have a great sentence for regulated, share it with me later. But how about 1 or 2 more examples for contemporary?
Me,
Susanna
Claudio.
gave us a great one. Claudia, please.
I don't know, it's okay, but the art event have contemporary ideas?
Love it. The art event had contemporary ideas. Great. Contemporary and art, the perfect combination of adjective and noun. I love it. Anybody else? Mohammed.
I have one.
Yep, Mohammed and then Ina. Go ahead, Mohammed, you're muted, and then Ina.
Sorry. Less of the people know the contemporary literature of their country.
That made me sad. Good. And I'm going to say fewer. And you could say, this is kind of an idiom here, fewer and fewer people. That means less and less. You could say less and less, fewer and fewer, whatever, same meaning. Love it, Mohammed. Great. Sad, true sentence. Ina, please.
Our contemporary society has lost interest in indigenous books.
So sad, but yeah, I understand. Great sentence. Our contemporary society has lost interest in reading books, and great use of the present perfect there. That's a perfect tense for that sentence. I love it. That's great. Great. So before I switch to the last idea here, I just want to ask, this is now just your feelings, your opinions. What was it like? What was it like to use the dictionary? Did you use the thesaurus? Just a little bit what the experience was like to do this together. What did it feel like practicing this strategy? I saw Mohammed give a thumbs up. You want to say, can you share just a little bit about, was it good? Would you try it again? What'd you think?
Yeah, it was really helpful. Indeed, I have learned all these, new vocabularies, but the way which we learned it, we read that one and we use it in sentences. So
Good.
I love it,
Good. I love hearing the word love. That's good. Anybody else? What was it like to practice this strategy?
That's very helpful. Actually, that's kind of similar to what I used to do all the time.
Good. Yeah, so again, my goal is to just show you kind of how I would suggest it, how I do this for myself when I'm in Spanish mode. Those 3 websites they are literally the websites I would tell students to use. So just the chance to show you how, different ways to do this, right? And again, the thing that maybe it's not new, I don't know. If you're practicing vocabulary from a book you're reading, that's a reading strategy. 100% is helping your reading. In addition to helping your vocabulary, it's definitely helping your reading because it's helping your comprehension, your ability to understand the ideas. So that's why we took some time to practice it today. So now you'll get to practice more vocabulary stuff like this there's 2 more lessons to finish up with Why Translation Matters. So if you hate this book and you're ready to move on, we are moving on. Next week will be the last time we talk about it, because next week I'm gonna introduce the first major writing assignment. So still weeks away from when you have anything due, but we're gonna sort of finish up with Why Translation Matters today. And be ready to start writing longer things. But in Canvas, the lessons that I posted this week, you do have 2 more activities like this to practice vocab. So have fun, you know, keep playing around with new words. I think it's one of the great things about learning a new language. Okay, so I'm going to talk for a few minutes and then we'll do one more activity and then be done. So again, if you heard me before I started talking, I was talking to Irina, or before the beginning of class, I was talking to Irina about this text and saying, yes, I know it is difficult and it is challenging, but I'm not asking you to understand every word. I really want you to use the book to practice these reading strategies. And then I'm introducing some of these ideologies that will be important for you to think about for the first writing assignment. So the only thing that you will ever need to know or memorize or use in your writing are these two slides, okay? So these ideologies are what I want you to remember from this textbook more than anything. So just a reminder, just a review of the ideologies we talked about from the preface, introduction, and chapter 1. And again, this same slide was in last week's PowerPoint and last week's video, but for review, remember she argues, she believes good translation is possible, that translating things word for word, literalism, a literal copy of the original language is bad translation. Translation has been a very important part of human history. Translation is a way to keep language fresh and healthy, and that human beings need translation in order to grow and learn from each other. You don't need to do anything with this other than know these are the ideologies I want you to think about. So go back to this slide if you ever need a refresher. Now, as I say here on this slide, talking about chapter 2 and 3. So in chapter 2 and 3, Grossman mostly explains her process for translating fiction and poetry. So she doesn't introduce too many new ideologies, but she does build on, add to, increase, grow some of the ideologies she introduced earlier in the book. So for example, in chapter 2 and 3, she emphasizes, or she argues, that the magic of translation is the same magic of all language. And she does use magic here because she's starting to talk about literature and poetry, and it's much more qualitative, sort of feeling-based idea. So this idea about magic is in chapter 2 and 3. Then there's a difference between fidelity and literalism, which we just looked up the meaning of these words, and we'll see it in context in a second. Next, languages are living things. They cannot be tamed. They cannot be regulated. They cannot be controlled. You may disagree with this, but this is an ideology that she has in the book, right? She also argues or says that there's a difference in translating contemporary work versus work from hundreds of years ago. And the last two are specifically about poetry, and you really don't need to worry about them too much. This is not a poetry class, but it is still interesting. Poetry is often linguistically and culturally dense. That means complicated. There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of meaning. So poems can be particularly difficult to translate. And finally, when translating anything, but especially poetry, issues of meter, rhythm, and line length are very important. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with us in terms of poetry, rhythm, and meter, but this is important. Line length, and we could change that to sentence length. This is important when we start to think about paraphrasing. Now, again, I'm going to keep talking for a few more minutes here, but real quick, what is paraphrasing? Have you done it before? Do you know what it is? What's your background with paraphrasing? Is this a totally new word for you? Just a few of you, can I hear, what's your experience, or what do you think of when you see this word paraphrasing? Anybody? Or nobody?
The most used word, paraphrasing. We had it back in school when we were writing different essays, you know, or trying to explain it in our own words.
Got it.
Or when you have a test and you don't know the answer, you Google it and it's like, Dan, if I just write exactly the same words, it's gonna look like I used a cheat sheet.
Love
so
it.
I'm gonna paraphrase it.
Liz, everything, Liz is on it. Great, love it. So Liz was saying, okay, it makes me think of other classes or maybe high school, or paraphrasing makes me think about cheating. It makes me think about copying, but it's also my own words. Okay, great. So that was a lot of great stuff in there. Anybody else?
I sometimes translate the word and see there is synonym, and I see another word, and through their word, I make a sentence.
I love it. So when Susanna thinks about paraphrasing, she thinks about, ooh, I need to look up a synonym and then just replace that word with the synonym, and then I'm good. That's paraphrasing. We're good. You are not alone, Susanna. I think a lot of people have taught themselves that trick. Anybody else? Good. That's plenty. Yeah, paraphrasing is, I agree with Liz. It's very, very important. I mean, as you continue on to classes, right? If you're in 325, you're here probably because you want a degree or you want to go to English 300. And then whether you're writing a paper in a nursing class or an early childhood ed class or a history class or a psychology class, paraphrasing is like, it's everything, right? Because as you keep taking classes, if you imagine you have to read 4 or 5 books in a history class in a semester, then you have to explain everything you learned in those books in your own words. Yeah, it's where this stuff starts to get really fun, you know. So I don't want to. You could read like tons and tons of pages about paraphrasing. Oh my God, some books go on and on and on. But again, I don't think I think most people understand what paraphrasing is. I think what's hard is how do I do it? So just some guidelines, some principles, some like simple ideas to what paraphrasing is, and then we just have to practice. So first, like Liz said, paraphrasing means same meaning, different words, right? So my first idea and why I'm talking about this connected to reading strategies is, so don't try to paraphrase something you don't understand. If you don't know what you just read, it is not possible for you to paraphrase it. Like, I can't say it any other way. So if you're trying to paraphrase something for any class, I really don't make you guys do this very much in this class, like as a graded activity, right? Read this thing and paraphrase it, and then I'll give you points. But if you are trying to paraphrase something, before you even think about synonyms or how to say it in your own words, you've got to know what you're trying to say. So if you don't know, go back to the reading strategies, right? Reread the paragraph, set a timer on your phone, use the dictionary, use the etymology, use the thesaurus, go back to the reading strategies to try and understand. If you're really lost, send Jeff a text and be like, Jeff, what is this? What is going on? Okay, so that's the first one. Second, we paraphrase when do we paraphrase? So that's another important question to think about. And we paraphrase when the exact wording of a quote is not important. So maybe you don't need word for word, but you do need the main idea, or the source material is too long to quote in full. This is really important for us because what happens with a lot of students, not just ESL students, is as soon as it's time to write 4 or 5 pages, people are like, okay, great. I'm going to cite this paper that I read. And then their quote is like half a page long. And you're like, well, okay, like good quote, but you didn't write that. Like you know what I mean? You didn't even, half of that page is someone else's words. Now, again, whether I have my feelings about how bad that is, whatever. But, you know, in US college, that's a big no-no, right? That's a big deal. So we paraphrase when the exact wording isn't important or the idea that we want to talk about is too long to just, you know, put the whole thing in there. And then the last thing that we're going to look at an example here is you should use different words and different sentence structures. So Susanna gave us the perfect example. Okay, if I just find a synonym for these 6 words, then that's a paraphrase. Good, I'm good. Maybe your teacher won't check. Maybe your teacher won't care. I don't know. But you also want to use different sentence structure. And we're gonna look at sort of what that means. Now, we've got 20 minutes, so we've got plenty of time. But before we look at the examples, which I think are gonna be the most helpful, any questions about these 3 guidelines? These are my bullet points. These are my like quick and easy tips for paraphrasing. Any questions about these 3 things before we practice? Great, let's go. So 2 things I want to show you. First, here on this slide, it says Norton Field Guide PDF. So some of the ideas that we're going to practice here, they are in a PDF that I've posted into Canvas. And I, again, want to show you on the home page here, right, for our site. I added a new link here called Professor Jeff's Course Materials. And this is a new page I made so that instead of having things live inside of lessons, they're all here on one page. So for if you're still waiting for Why Translation Matters, I know the bookstore is still going slow. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, the PDF is right here. And here's the audio for Chapter 2 and 3. So everything for Why Translation Matters is underneath here. I also posted this that says Norton Writing Guide, and I have quoting, paraphrasing, summary. So this PDF, you can download it, you can preview it. It's here in Canvas for you to review, okay? I'm not making you read this or asking you to take a quiz on it. It's just here for you. If you want more information, it's going slowly, but if you want more information about paraphrasing on top of, in addition to what we practice here, okay? So that's, if it ever loads. Okay, there it is. So it's not too long, but it's got some good, more specific details, more information about what I'm presenting to you right now, okay?
Thank you for doing this. I haven't received the book yet.
Of course, yeah. I had a feeling. I had a feeling you were not, and you're not the only one, Claudia. So yeah, everything for Why Translation Matters is all in one place. Everything, the whole book. Is it legal? I don't know, but you guys need a copy of the book. So. So we'll find out. Great. So again, Professor Jeff's Course Materials. If you're like, Jeff, what is paraphrasing? I hate this. I don't understand. So these are the 3 guides. These are the 3 rules. And all I want to do is look at some examples. So I also have this link, a link to this. This is a Google document that I've created for us. This link is also in Canvas. I'll show you where it is in a minute. So you can access this anytime, but I want to look at this together. So here are paraphrase examples that we're going to look at together to look at these rules. So the original says, and I'm just going to read this out loud. You can absolutely read along. So we're going to start with the original here. And then I'm telling you right now, this is the less successful paraphrase. So here's the original quote, and this is on page 67 in the textbook. So the original says, according to Ortega, however, the fact that they are utopian and may never be fully realized does not lessen the luminous value of our attempts to translate or communicate. Quote, human tasks are unrealizable. The destiny of man, his privilege and honor, is never to achieve what he proposes and to remain merely in inattention, a living utopia. He is always marching toward failure, and even before entering the fray, he already carries a wound in his temple, end quote. In translation, the ongoing, absolutely utopian ideal is fidelity, but fidelity should never be confused with literalness. Literalism is a clumsy, unhelpful concept that radically skews and oversimplifies the complicated relationship between a translation and the original. So before we look at the paraphrase, this is a dense paragraph, but to the best we can, what's the meaning? What is she trying to say in this paragraph? Gloria, go ahead.
I think she wants to say that translators mustn't translate literally all the words.
Great. So Gloria is saying she thinks the main idea is this fidelity, literalness, word for word. She thinks it's about fidelity and literalness, right? Great. Anybody else want to add? Cool. I agree. Yeah, I think that if you're saying what's the main idea, because remember, I'm saying before you paraphrase, same meaning, different words. What's the meaning? So if your job in paraphrasing is to try and say in your own words the main idea of some page or paragraph or a book or whatever, you got to make sure you understand the main idea. I totally agree, Irina. I think the main idea is kind of down here, this idea of fidelity, and it shouldn't be confused with literalness. She explains kind of what literalism is, and we get some good information there. So I'd say great. So we have some idea of what the main idea of this paragraph is. So let's look at a less successful paraphrase, and using these examples in the slide, right? Different words, different sentences. Let's see what we notice. So here's the paraphrase. Grossman says that, according to Ortega, all human communication is utopian and may not be realized. However, this does not lessen our attempts to use language to speak or translate. Ortega says that all human tasks are unrealizable, and that humans can never achieve exactly what they propose. So our goals and intentions become a living utopia. So for Grossman, translation is absolutely utopian, and the goal is always fidelity. But she argues that fidelity should never be confused with literalness. Literalism is an unhelpful concept that oversimplifies the complicated relationship between a translation and an original. All I want you to do is take a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes by yourself. I'm going to keep these up on the screen. Look at them. Why is this not successful? I'm telling you, this is not a successful paraphrase. Why not? So just look at the two, compare them, 2 or 3 minutes by yourself, then we'll talk. Masuma, I see your hand. You go first, but I want to give people 1 more minute, just kind of reading, comparing, and then Masuma, you're first when we start to talk.
Okay.
I like seeing your face is very serious when you look at the screen right now while you're reading. The people I can see. Okay, Masuma, go ahead. Tell us, what did you notice? Why do you think this is not successful? Masuma, you want to go?
I'm not ready.
Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Okay, that's fine. Anybody else want to go? Yeah, Masuma, when you're ready, raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand again, or your Zoom hand. Yes, Liz, I see you. What's up? And then Gloria. Muted. We can't hear you.
Let's forget. So
Always.
the main mistake was that he just changed the order of the words. That's not the main point of paraphrasing.
Okay, so can you give us some examples where, so you said the order of the words, but then I'm assuming, right, using the same words though, just move them, right?
He just moved the words using the same, exactly the same words, like especially at the end, almost.
Yeah, give us, give us some examples of where the words are too similar, please.
Let's say literalism is an helpful concept that oversimplifies the complicated relationship between translator and the original. So exactly the same. It didn't bring out the main idea. I feel like it's kind of blurry, like playing around, but not telling us exactly what's the main point.
Good, love it. Okay, great. So 2 important things from Liz there. The wording is too similar. One sentence is almost exactly the same, and I'm going to say, as a result, therefore, it's kind of unclear. Like, what's the point of paraphrasing? Like, it's not really clear what the author, I'm the one who wrote these examples, what the author is trying to say. Why are we paraphrasing? Why does this matter? Good. Gloria, go ahead. I saw your hand. And then Masuma, if you're ready, you can go after Gloria.
I saw the same. Simplified sentence structures with the same words, but without any meaning.
Good. And do you see any just more examples of where the words did not change?
For example, if I would do this paraphrase,
yeah,
I would change fidelity, utopian, for another words.
Good, love it. Okay, so thank you. That's exactly what I wanted, Gloria. I wanted examples of utopian, fidelity. I wanted example.
Even the last sentence, unhelpful concept. He could write another words of this.
Yeah, good, love it. Great, great, great. Okay, great. So again, both Liz and Gloria were focusing on the words there and how similar they are. That's great. Yes, Masuma, please.
In this sentence, so our goals and intentions become a living utopia. I think goals and intentions have the same meaning.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. Okay, good. That's interesting. And intention is a word that we have the same word up here, right? If you look up here, whoops, we have the same, where did it go? I just had it here, right? Remain merely an intention. We have the same idea here. So absolutely, yeah, I love that. So maybe one thing that students do when they're paraphrasing in this example that I came up with, you kind of just say the synonym. You just say the synonym. You say the same word. You say goal and intention, even though they have the same meaning. So it looks like you're adding new ideas, but really, like Gloria and Liz were saying, you're kind of making it more confusing. Anybody else notice anything that they want to share? Great. Okay, let's look at, we've got 10 minutes. Let's look at the more successful one and see if you can, let's spot the difference. So just for this moment, I'm going to move this up here so that you can see them together. And again, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes on your own, but just so that you can hear the words out loud. So the more successful paraphrase, we already looked at the original. Importantly, Grossman argues that the goal, my bad, of good the goal, oh, maybe we'll see, that the goals of good translation are utopian. And then I put one word in quotes and then cite it. She cites Spanish philosopher José Ortega y Gasset, who theorized that all of human beings' goals are impossible to realize, and that they are therefore constantly failing to create the perfect image they create in their minds. However, Grossman does not see this failure as a problem. Instead, she affirm means confirm, affirm, that the goal of translation is utopian, and it is total faithfulness to the original text. She then distinguishes between faithfulness and literalness by once again arguing that trying to literally translate word for word erases the utopian complexity and richness of linguistic expression. Same thing, 2 or 3 minutes by yourself, compare the two. Tell me what looks good, what looks bad. What do you think? But a few minutes by yourself.
Can you show me less successful for a moment?
Yeah. If it's not too, let's see if I can get them all together. I just didn't want to make it too small for you guys. Yeah, I can bump them. How about that?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, just for time, right? So I want to make sure I let you guys go on time. But I will say this document, the link to this doc I'll show you, it's already in the live support materials page. This is for you. You can read it anytime. We're going to keep using this. There's more for us to do next week. Okay, so we are going to keep talking about this. I know I'm kind of moving fast, but just at the end of class, so I can let you go on time. What do you notice? What'd you see? Why do you think that I'm saying this one's better? What did you notice? Go for it, Liz.
It feels like she or he trying to explain the same thing in different words, like for a few times. Like it's too long. She could do it shorter. And
this one, even the more successful one, you think it's a little too long, too many repeated ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good, great. What else do people notice or see? Gloria, go ahead.
Did you write this?
I wrote both of them. I wrote the less successful one and the more successful one, yeah. But again, I didn't, no, Liz, that's the whole point. I didn't write them thinking this is the best thing I've ever written. I was trying to show you different examples. So no, I'll tell you if I show you something that I think is actually really good, just in case, like, hey guys, I think this is good. No, these are just examples of, but I mean, I've read a lot of student writing, so they're inspired by the things I've seen for sure. Please, Gloria, go ahead.
I admitted that you.
Be brutal, yeah. Huh? Be cruel. Tell me, what do you see?
I admitted that you tried to note the main ideas from every sentence.
Yes.
And this style is more commonly used. For example, for us, it's really better to read and to understand, because the first one, I didn't understand the main idea from it.
Yeah.
They're less successful.
Yes. Yes. Good. Okay, great. Okay, good. I do think so. I think, yeah, maybe both of them are a little too long and too complex, but yeah, the first one is trying to go sentence for sentence almost, right? Like literalism, like this, I'm going to write a paraphrase sentence that has the same exact meaning as sentence 1. And then I'm going to write a sentence that has the same meaning as sentence 2. And I agree. I think that tends to make the reader feel confused. I think so. What else? We've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more people to just, again, this is not a right or wrong. We get to start practicing next week, but what do you notice? What do you see?
Could I say?
Of course, Vlada, get in there.
Okay. I think in more successful paraphrase, there are some connection words. I don't know, is it right? Or like and, who, and many things like.
Good.
Yeah,
you
can see that she said Spanish photographer who like tourist.
Yeah,
I don't know. So
I love it. So something very important there. I agree. I don't think this is the most perfect paraphrase in the world, but I do think that Vlada pointed out something really important. There are all these verbs that I use here that are, I mean, they're kind of like reporting verbs, but when you're doing a paraphrase, when you're sort of saying what other people said, you get to use a lot of these active sort of academic words to describe what the author was doing in the original. And I think Vlada's absolutely right to point that out. She cites, she affirms, she distinguishes. And then the other thing that you pointed out that's correct is there's all these sort of introductory transition words, connecting words that are not here in this first one, right? The first bad example is just, like I said, sentence for sentence. In the more successful one, we do sort of see transition words and phrases to connect the sentence. And I do think that makes it more clear. So I love both of the things Vlada pointed out there. Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Anybody else with anything really fast? Because we will, like I said, we'll continue this next week. No, Jeff, it's 2:15. Tell us about the homework and then let's go home. We're already home. 2 things I want to say. We'll finish up. Well, really, we're just beginning paraphrasing. And we'll continue with that next week. So the only things I wanted to show you are in Canvas, and then we'll be done. So in Canvas now, if you go to modules, basically all of the lessons. So I've got lessons 1 through 14. If you can't do 14 if you're not done with 1 through 13 yet, okay? But these lessons lesson 13 is the last thing we will do with why translation matters. So these final lessons here, 10, 11, 12, 13, they have questions about why translation matters, but they're more vocab practice. Again, it's not like, I'm thinking of Irina, you don't need to spend 20 hours reading chapter 2, okay? Read for the main ideas. And remember, what I want you to take away, what I want you to remember from chapter 2 and 3 is this. I want you to remember the ideologies because we will write about them later. I don't want you to feel like you need to take, we're not doing a reading quiz, I guess is what I'm saying. And we'll finish up with why translation matters next week. We'll continue with paraphrasing. If you can move on to lesson 14, which is going to introduce the idea of narratives, storytelling, and how we're going to connect some of these ideas about translation and language ideologies to our first writing assignment. So coming up, my very strong suggestion is before next Wednesday. So before next week, I need to fix this because we meet on the 24th. Sorry. Lessons 1 through 13 if you can, because that's why translation matters. And after that, we're going to be done with why translation matters. So I encourage you, if you can, to complete lessons 1 through 13. If you're going very fast, there are a few people who already finished lesson 13. So if you're a very fast mover, I know some people like, so again, we're all good, right? Wherever you're at is beautiful. If you're a fast person, do lesson 14. Review the PDF that we talked about today that I showed you. And if you're really, really fast, you can just start reading A Map is Only One Story. Now, if you're only on lesson 5 or 6, that's fine. That's all good too. If you can, I encourage you, do as many of them as you can before next week, okay? And again, all that stuff is here in Canvas for you. And if you need help for me to show you where it lives, I can do that. But it's mostly here with live support materials. And again, here, if you click paraphrase, here's today. If you click paraphrasing practice, that'll take you right to this document. So you can access this activity that we did today. And I'll post the PDF for the Norton field guide that I showed you. And of course, like usual, the Zoom recording and the PowerPoint will be there. So, and I already showed you, if you don't have the book for Why Translation Matters, it's there in course materials.
Thank you again.
Of course, Claudia. No, I know, like I said, you are not the only one. And questions. So that's it. If you don't have questions, goodbye. Thank you for staying 1 minute late. If you do have questions, I'm here to answer them. So it was great to see you. If you're leaving, I hope to see you next week. And if you do have questions, I can hang out for a few minutes.
Bye, Professor. Have a good weekend.
Guys. Bye, Claudio. All right, if you're hanging out with questions, go for it. Tell me what you got.
Professor,
yes, Susanna.
You read, it's you try to help us. I want to say it's very helpful.
Oh, good.
Thank you very much.
I'm so happy. It's helpful for me too. I love doing it. So I'm glad that I'm glad it's helpful. I'm really happy to hear that.
Thank you very much. Bye.
I'll keep doing it. I have myself reading pretty much all the books we're doing this semester. So yes, Nasser, you have a question?
Oh, I don't have any question.
Oh, just saying bye?
Yes, have a nice weekend. Thank you, Professor.
On your citizenship, Nasser.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, have a nice weekend.
See you. He looks so happy. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording actually, since we have, like I said, one-on-one questions. Hold.